Okay, we can do one example first. So we have a polynomial function, square root on the denominator. Our goal is to find the domain of this polynomial plus radical. What is that? So step one, identify your problem. What's the problem with this function? What's the problem with any rational function, Pedro? So inside cannot be negative. No negative. And for the denominator, what's wrong with denominator? Cannot be 0. Can't be 0. So it cannot be negative. It cannot be 0. So what it can be? Positive. Strictly positive. So x squared minus 49 has to be strictly positive. It cannot be 0. It cannot be negative. It could be 0 if it is on the numerator. But since it's the denominator, so it cannot be 0. Why it can be? What is square root of negative 1? Square root of negative number doesn't exist. So that's why the function inside, not x, the function inside cannot be negative, and also the total denominator cannot be 0. So if it's negative inside is it can't be negative. We cannot have any number that makes the inside negative. For example, let's say 6. X is 6. What's the inside we get here? When x is 6, we get 6 squared minus 49. And what is 6 squared? 36. So 36 minus 49. And what is 36 minus 49? Positive or negative? So can you replace x with 6? No. Right? We cannot replace every number for x. We can replace only a limited amount of numbers. So which numbers we can replace for x? That's our goal to figure out. What numbers? We can replace 7. Can we? Okay. So x equals 7. We have 7 squared minus 49. What is 7 squared? 49. 49 minus 49. What is 49 minus 49? 0. What is square root of 0? 0. No problem. But this becomes 1 over 0. What is 1 over 0? Doesn't exist. It cannot be 6. It cannot be 7. See? Yeah. It has to be bigger than 7. True. But only bigger than 7? Isn't there any other number it can take? That's what you're going to find out. So he has some idea that it has to be bigger than 7. It definitely has to be bigger than 7. But how about less than 7? So let's solve this using equal sign. So x squared minus 49 definitely cannot be 0 because in the denominator. The denominator is telling us it cannot be 0. That means x squared definitely cannot be 49, right? So what number when you square turns into 49? 7. Only 7? Negative 7 also. So it cannot have, definitely cannot have 7 or negative 7. And we know it has to be bigger than 7. So we go to the number line. We have negative infinity, positive infinity, and these are the two numbers we definitely know that we cannot replace our x with because we just found them out from the denominator. They definitely cannot be negative 7 or positive 7. Definitely cannot. But we used some numbers, right? We used between negative 7 to positive 7. We used x equals 6. And we realized we end up getting some negative result here. So you cannot replace anything from negative 7 to positive 7. But we also realize it has to be bigger than 7, right? You can check by substituting x equals 8. You can check. When x is 8, we have 64 minus 49, which is positive, so it's fine. And remember, yesterday I said, as long as we have, I didn't factor that. If you want, you can actually factor that. X plus 7, x minus 7 cannot be 0. Then you have to do this. We can do x plus 7 cannot be 0. X minus 7 cannot be 0. So x cannot be negative 7. And x cannot be positive 7. If you observe this line, we have two factors for x squared minus 49. X plus 7, x minus 7. Each factor has what degree? X plus 1, x plus 7. How many times do you have x plus 7? How many times do you have x plus 7 here? Only once. How many times do you have x minus 7? Only once. So what is their power? What is their degree? 1. And is 1 odd or even? Odd. So remember yesterday I said, when your factor has odd power, the sign alternates. So definitely you know the middle will give a negative. So what would be the other two sides? Positive. And here we are looking for something positive. So this side is positive on the left. That side is positive on the right. We knew this from using our logic, but if you only use logic, you miss the left side. Your domain has two parts here. Domain. What is the first part? Interval notation. Negative infinity to what? Negative 7. Can you substitute x with negative 7? So what's the boundary for negative 7? Parentheses. Union. The last part. What's the last part? Interval notation. 7 to infinity. And how about the boundary? Parentheses. We cannot use 7. See, when we use 7, we get 0. 1 over 0 doesn't exist. So you have to write down this interval notation. And you have two parts. Not every question will have two parts. It depends on whatever question you have. So that's what you have to solve. Whatever you have inside the radical, if it's on the denominator, it has to be bigger than 0. And if it's on the numerator, it can be bigger than 0 or equal 0. And then factor solve is the number line. Find only one interval by replacing some number, and the rest alternate. If the factors are odd, if the factors have odd degree. Any question? No? Then I think I should give you the quiz now. Yes. Because I'm going to teach you totally different something today. And then you might forget your domain. Ready? Clear your desk. Take out only one piece of paper. And I'll give you 5 minutes. Find the domain in interval notation for y equals square root of 81 minus x squared. I'm going to put my timer. We have 5 minutes. Don't forget to write your name on the paper, please. Would be check your work. Take your intervals. You don't have to actually come. I'm going to collect after 5 minutes, after 1 more minute. Of course, I cannot tell you that, right? But check your work. Yeah, 1 more minute. This is not the same exact question what I did with you guys. It's not same exact question.
You only want interval notation, or do you want
Interval notation.
anything?
You have to check your interval. Which interval gives you positive? So check the interval carefully. All the intervals. And again, this is not the same question what we did. So don't expect to get the same result. Okay, ready.
Yeah.
Do I have all the quizzes? Anyone quizzes? I can only see there are so many errors.
Negative, negative 9.
Okay, as I said, this is not the same question what we did.
Be graded on like work too, or like.
Of course, work.
No, like say like you got the right answer, but like some part of the
If
work,
the work is wrong, but you got the correct answer, definitely it's wrong.
like
So you have to get the correct answer. So you have to get the correct, you have to show the correct work to get the correct answer. But I'll think about partial credit. I'll think about it. Okay, so what type of problem we have? Retake. You're going to retake this type of question in the exam. So prepare yourself for the exam. You're going to see this type of question in the exam. If you can do it correctly in the exam, I may replace your quiz grade. So show me how much you know during the exam. No problem. What type of problem we have? What type of function we have? Square root function or even root function. Even root function. So what's wrong with even root function? What is our problem? Cannot be what? Can be negative. So it has to be 81 minus x squared. It can be 0 or it can be bigger than 0, which is positive. Oh, sorry. I'm writing too weirdly. It can be 0, it can be positive, which is this symbol, bigger than or equal 0. Okay? And then we solve for x. So before that, let's factor this. What two factors we get from x squared 81 minus x? Your order is wrong. Do you have x in the front or number on the front? You have 81 minus x squared. Whatever you have at the beginning, that has to go on the front. You cannot. 2 and negative 2, they are not same. So if you have 1 minus 2, you cannot say I have 2 minus 1. The order in the negative does matter. If it was 81 plus x squared, you could say x squared plus 81. Because in addition, the order doesn't matter. But subtraction is very dangerous. The order does matter. So we have 9 plus x and minus x. Why I'm using the factors so that you can see each factor has 1 power. That means they have odd power, so we are going to check only one interval. We didn't have to waste our time by checking all the intervals. Checking one is fine. So 9 plus x equals 0, 9 minus x equals 0. That gives us x equals 9. So x equals -9 and x equals +9. We're subtracting 9 from both sides. We're adding 9 from both. No, we are adding x. We are adding x to both sides. So you have x equals 9, x equals -9. So you go to the number line. Negative infinity, positive infinity. We have two numbers, -9 and +9. Check only one interval from these three intervals, any one interval, and you know the answer. I'm going to choose the middle because in the middle we have 0. X equals 0. So we have y equals square root of 81 minus 0 square. So what is 0 square? 0. And what is 81 minus 0? 81. So this is positive, right? So definitely this is in our solution, in our domain. That means this is minus and also this is minus. So can my ending be in the domain? So you cannot take anything from the left and on the right. Whatever you take, that will make the inside negative. So domain is the middle one, domain. It starts from -9, ends at +9. When x is -9, do you get something valid or do you get something invalid? When x is 9, what do you get for the y? 0. What is square root of 0? 0, real number. So we can substitute x with -9 and x with +9. So domain, which I did not see in most of your paper, is actually the middle interval, not the ending. Parentheses means you cannot use negative or +9. Okay, I'm going to put this question in the exam. Not this exactly, similar question. So if you guys can do your, if you can do this question correctly in the exam, I'm going to replace a quiz grade with that. Okay?
I didn't take points off because I didn't, if I didn't write domain.
You don't have to write domain. The answer is -9 to +9 with the bracket.
Yeah.
Did you show me the work? Okay, then you're fine. Number one, time answer, you're fine. Again, if you didn't do it correctly this time, no problem. Do it correctly in the exam. Again, I'm not going to give the exact same question. The format will be same. I didn't hand them back. I'm going to give you twisted. Any other question? Huh? That's it. 5 minutes. So I gave the quiz for 5 minutes, but I explained it for 10 minutes. It doesn't make sense. In the next time, I'm going to give for 5 minutes, do it in 5 minutes. So you're going to waste 10 minutes only. And the rest, we're going to use it for real math. Okay. So our exam will be 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 next week, Thursday, not Tuesday. I didn't make the exam yet. I can tell you probably Tuesday. I said I can probably tell you probably Tuesday. I didn't make the exam yet, so I have no idea. But you have 1 hour 15 minutes. So at least 10, definitely. Your final exam will be 30. Your final exam will be 2 hours. You have to do 30 questions. So for 1 hour, you're supposed to do at least 15 questions. So yeah, it will be around 15. A combination of multiple and non-multiple choice, but no calculator. for this exam. 1.5 will not be in the exam, but I'm starting it anyway. 1.5 is not that bad. It's about quadratic. Yeah, A and B. A and B. R, you don't have to memorize R. At least memorize A and B. For the correlation coefficient, not correlation coefficient is R. You don't have to memorize R. At least you have to memorize Y equals to AX plus B. Formula for A, formula for B. Memorize them. What opposite? Now I'm going to ask you about the line of best fit. That means you need to know your A and B. The correlation, I'm not going to ask you that because you don't have time to do all three. You will not have time. So I'm going to ask definitely one, find the line of best fit. I'm going to tell you on Tuesday what I'm going to ask you in the exam once I make the exam. But here's the review sheet on Brightspace. And most of the questions from in the review sheet are from our lecture notes. So please watch all the lecture videos if you don't have your notes written on your paper. Okay, any other question before we start? Any other worries, concern? Nothing? Let me see the attendance. You can copy these notes down. And if you're done with the left page, I have one more thing. No, actually, you don't have to copy that. Oh man, these are too small. Can you guys see the right page now? Then are you done copying these at least? No? Okay, copy them. Let me check the attendance for today. We have 912. We already had 9 days. Wow. Dominica. Salahuddin. Asla. Maxine. Zoe. Claire. Jolene. Prince. No one. Hayden. Ellen. Zir. Restaurant. Skyly. Alice. Jasmina. Alexandra. Jennifer. Jessie. Johnny. Afiz. Karim. Pedro. Erika. Jawad. Ruby. Saum. Dimitri. Siki. Amir. William. Oh, almost everyone is here, so I don't see Salahuddin and Claire. No Salahuddin, no Claire. Wow. Oh, Salahuddin, Claire, and Asla. Okay, so quadratic equations or quadratic functions. Quadratic functions have two formats. One is standard form or vertex form. I actually like to call them vertex form because in our school we are taught this is the vertex form. So we have vertex form and we have general form. It's called vertex form because you can see the vertex of a quadratic. But before going to vertex, this is the shape of quadratic. It's U, and the vertex is where we have the maximum or the minimum. It's either the lowest point if you have an upward parabola, or it's the highest point if it's downward parabola. The shape of a quadratic function is parabola. It has vertex, and through the vertex, if you dissect the vertex, if you dissect the parabola through the vertex, we get two equal portions. Whatever we have on the left side of that line is the same portion on the right side of that line. That's why the line that goes to the vertex, we call them axis of symmetry. An axis of symmetry is a vertical line. So its format is x equals the x value of the vertex. Now that's why vertex, we have a vertex format because in this format we can see our x and y value of the vertex. The format says we have y equals a times x minus h whole square plus k. The h and k combined, then we get the vertex. H is the x value, k is the y value. And that is the symmetry. The vertical line is x equals the x value of the vertex. Then we have another format where we don't see the vertex. So this format is not so helpful if your goal is to work with vertex. However, this format is easier to work with if you're solving for y-intercept or if you want to find the x-intercept. So to find x-intercept or y-intercept, the general form is easier. But if you want to see vertex, the vertex form is easier. Now, since it's general form, we don't see the vertex. So mathematician came up with a formula to find out the vertex. They said the x value of the vertex is negative b over 2a. That's the x value of the vertex. And every vertex has x and y, both of them. Do you get the point? Now they found a formula for x, and they said, well, we don't need a formula for y. All you have to do is replace that number into the function for every x you see, and that will give you the y value of the vertex. So for x value, you need to find it using formula. For y value, you substitute into equation to get the y. And again, for axis of symmetry, we have x equals that x value, which you're going to find using the formula. On this page, we said when the leading coefficient, how do you know when you have an upward or when you have a downward parabola? When our leading coefficient A is a positive number, we have upward parabola. When the leading coefficient is a negative number, we get downward parabola. This page is saying when you have an upward parabola, we have a maximum, and when you have a downward parabola, we have a minimum. Ignore this because I already explained. Now this is too small. Let me make it bigger so that you can see. No, color page color. You guys can see now, right? Definitely. Well, let me try making this bigger. Better. Is it better? Well, let me try this bigger. So here they are talking about domain and range. Now, depending on what type of parabola you have, you figure out your range differently. but domain is everything, because parabola is actually quadratic function is actually a polynomial. You have a continuous function. Anytime you have a continuous function, your domain is everything. Means you can substitute the x value with any number. So domain is everything, but the range is not everything. For example, for range, if you have an upward parabola, your range is for the highest y value, you have infinity, because the y is going on the upper side forever. And let me actually erase this. And the range, it depends on the y value of your vertex. So y value of vertex. Your range runs from the y value of the vertex till infinity. So this is what it says. If your leading coefficient is positive, which is an upward parabola, your range is y value of the vertex till infinity. You cannot have anything that is below your vertex. So the least y value you can have in your parabola is the y value of the vertex. On the other hand, if we have an upside down parabola, now this time the highest point is the y value of the vertex. And the lowest point, you have no idea because the graph is going on downward forever. So the range in this case is from negative infinity to the y value of the vertex. Now, when you talk about quadratic function or quadratic equation, one formula comes in our mind is quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac whole thing divided by twice a. What is ABC? ABC is your coefficient. A x squared plus bx plus c. If we have a quadratic equation or quadratic function in this format, then your quadratic formula is using ABC, you substitute here. Now that thing inside the radical is a special thing. It has a special name and special value. Its name is discriminant. Based on the discriminant, you can figure out how many solutions you're going to get or how many x-intercepts you're going to get without even solving your x-intercept. How do you know? Well, since this discriminant is under radical, that means when you have a positive number under the radical, you get two solutions. One is positive, one is negative. So you get two real solutions. Means you have two x-intercepts. So you're crossing the x-axis twice. Probably this way. So you have one x-intercept here, another x-intercept here. Or if you have an upside down parabola, maybe you have two x-intercepts here and there. So when your discriminant is a positive number, there are two x-intercepts you have. So two real solutions you have. When this discriminant is 0, you have negative b plus minus 0. 0 means nothing. So basically you have negative b over 2a. So you get only one solution. Maybe you're just touching the x-axis upward way or downward way. So when you just touch the x-axis, you get one solution, means one x-intercept. And it happens only when you discriminant is 0. Means basically there is no square root term in the formula. And lastly, when you have a discriminant negative, it means you have a negative number under the square root. We don't know negative number under the square root doesn't exist, right? So we don't get any real solution anymore. We get imaginary solution. But we have two of them. One is plus and one is minus. So we get two imaginary solutions. They are not real. We cannot see them. Since we cannot see them, so they don't have any x-intercepts. Maybe you have a parabola that is above the x-axis, or maybe you have a parabola that is below the x-axis. So you're not crossing or touching the x-axis. That's why there is no x-intercept. So you don't have any x-intercept. However, we say, well, we have imaginary solution. Well, we didn't see imaginary solution. So we know they're there, we just don't know where they are. Okay? So without doing any math, just by observing what we have under the radical, we can get all this information. That's why this unit is very helpful. Okay, so now our goal is to find all the solutions. If you have one solution or two solutions, how do you find them? Well, to find the solution, depending on what type of quadratic formula, what type of quadratic equation you have, you use different method. For example, if you have a quadratic function that is factorable, factor and solve for x, you get your x-intercept. If it's not factorable, you can use quadratic formula. You use the quadratic formula, solve for x, but that means you have to memorize the formula correctly. And then you have another choice. Convert them into Vertex format and then solve for x. So you have many other methods actually. You can use complete the square method, or you can use graphing method. But here we are going to talk about, I don't know, let me see. What do you have? One example. It says find everything about parabola. Find its vertex, find its x-intercept, find its y-intercept, find its axis of symmetry, and graph it for this quadratic equation. Do you see the vertex here? Is the vertex given to us directly? That means we need the help of the formula. So let's start with the vertex. Our first goal is to find the vertex. But vertex has two things, x and y. So we need to find both of them. Fortunately, we have a formula for x. What's the formula for the x with the vertex? X is what? Negative b over 2a. So you only need a and b here. So what is our a here in this equation? Negative 2. What is our b here? 4. So we have negative 4 twice times 2. So negative 4 over what? Negative 4 over negative 4, 1. So this x value here is 1. But we are not done because we need also y. So do you remember what mathematician says? We don't need a formula for y because we can substitute x here and then get the y value directly. So they gave us negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 15 should be y. And we know our x is 1. So we just substitute 1 into the formula and we get our y value. We have to do some math, but at least you have to memorize the formula. What comes first, negative 2 times 1 or 1 square? Square. So what is negative 2 times, so what is 1 square? 1. And we have 4 times 1, minus 15. So we have negative 2 minus 11. So what do you have? Negative 13. That's our y value. So now we are done with the vertex. Our vertex is when x is negative 1, y is negative 13. Thank you. And that tells us our axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry is a vertical line that goes through the vertex. So any vertical line has what formula? The equation for any vertical line is what? X equals. So in our case, x equals how much? What's the vertex? 1. So this is axis of symmetry. We don't need to solve it because in vertex we already solved it. So we found vertex, axis of symmetry. Now they are saying find the x-intercept. But before finding x-intercept, let's find the y-intercept. Y-intercept is much easier. How do you find y-intercept? Set x equals 0. So in our case, we have y equals negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 15. When you set x equals 0, this becomes 0. This also becomes 0. So what do we have for y? Negative 15. So that's our y-intercept. And now let's find the hardest one, x-intercept. How do we find x-intercept? Set y 0. So we have 0 equals negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 15. And we don't like, is it factorable? 15 times 2, 30. 30. Before we even try doing factoring, let's see, do we have any x-intercept? Let's use our discriminant. I don't want to waste our time by trying to figure out x-intercept if it doesn't exist. So discriminant is whatever you have under the square root in the quadratic formula. Do you remember what's discriminant? The formula? B square minus 4AC. So what is our B here again? 4 square minus 4 times, what is our A? And our C? Negative 15. So we have 16. Minus and minus becomes plus. Plus and minus becomes minus. So we have minus 4 times 2 is 8. And 8 times 15. Huh? 120? 8 times 15. 120? Good thing I checked. What's the result we have? 16 minus 120? 16 minus 120? Negative number, right? So we have square root of a negative number. Do you have any x-intercept? No. Because if you want to solve for x-intercept, we can use negative b plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. Now, without even solving anything, we realize this thing is square root of a negative. So automatically, it doesn't exist. It's not real. X-intercept doesn't exist. So we have a weird function. Not weird, it sounds weird. We have a parabola that doesn't have any x-intercept. So let's see what type of parabola we have. X, y. Our y-intercept is negative 15. So let's say this is negative 15. Y-intercept. Our vertex is 1, negative 13. So let's say this is 1, and let's say this is negative 13. Somewhere here. And then, what type of parabola we have? Upward or upside down? Downward. No wonder we don't have any x-intercept. Our parabola is not even crossing x-axis. So how can we have any x-intercept? Because what is your A? A is how much? in the equation y equals, how much is your a? And when your a is negative, what type of parabola you have? Downward. So you have a downward parabola that is below the x-axis, so you don't have any x-intercept. Any question? So yes, in the final exam, you may see this type of question. You're given a parabola and you'll be asked to find at least the vertex and sometimes the x for x and y intercept also. Any question? No? Now the next example, we have y equals 4 minus x minus 3 squared. The format looks weird because the format is actually y equals a x minus h squared plus k. This is the vertex format. Vertex form. So this form and that form doesn't match, right? So let's rewrite our form. This is y equals negative x minus 3 squared plus 4. So the 4 should be on the right side, not on the left side. And now we are happy because we can match our equation with the format. Now let's match them. If you match them, what do you see? What is your A? -1. Perfect. How about your K? 4. And now let's match this. We have -3 and -h. So -3 equals negative, no, let me write the other way around. -h equals -3. So what is h? 3. Now h is the x value. And k is the y value of the vertex. So what is our vertex? Vertex 3, 4. So you don't have to do anything. Just by observing the format, we can already figure out our vertex. That means you also know the axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry. What's the formula for axis of symmetry? X equals? No, axis of symmetry. It's the x value of the vertex. The x value of the vertex. Axis of symmetry is the x value of the vertex. So in your vertex, what's the x value? 3. Just x equals 3. And axis of symmetry is a vertical line, so it's always x equals a number. So we found axis of symmetry, we found vertex. Now let's find x-intercept. And this time finding y-intercept is not easy. We have to do math. So I'm going to go in order. X-intercept means set y0. So 0 equals negative x minus 3 squared plus 4. Our goal is to get this x alone. So get rid of everything else from x. Which one you get rid of first? There are so many things we have next to x. Minus in the front, 3 on the right side, and 4 on the farthest. Which one you get rid of first?
4.
Good job. So you subtract 4 from both sides. So -4 equals negative x minus 3 squared. And now which one you get rid of? We have 3 in the next, negative in the front, negative. So multiply by -1. So I get +4 equals x minus 3 square. And now which one? -3 or the square? Square. So what's the enemy of the square? What's the opposite of square? Square root. So square root fights with the square power. They both die, and we have x minus 3. And what do you on the other side? Only 2 plus minus 2. Anytime you take the square root of even root of a variable, even root of a variable is supposed to have two choices, positive and negative. So it means x minus 3 equals 2 or x minus 3 equals -2. This is what plus minus 2 means. Either that x minus 3 is +2 or that x minus 3 is -2. But it doesn't matter which one we have. We need to add 3 to both sides to solve. And we get x equals what? And 1. So this time we do have x-intercept, 5 and 1. So let me try drawing the graph here. This is 1, 2, since I have my space, so let me do it on the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is one x-intercept at 1, another x-intercept is at 5. And we found the vertex is 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have, this is our vertex 3, 4. This is x equals 1, this is x equals 5. And what type of parabola we have? Upward or upside down? Down, because we have a negative in the front. The only thing we need to know, what is this number? The y-intercept. So let's find the y-intercept real quick. But this one we cannot just find without doing any math. We really have to do the math, which is annoying. Y-intercept. Set x 0. So y equals negative x minus 3 square plus 4. This x turned to 0. Jannah, no fun. There is no more x, now it's 0. So y equals, Panda says do what first? Pandas. What does P mean? Parentheses. So what do we have inside the parentheses? -3. So we did P. Next, what is S? Exponent. That means we need to find what is this. So what is -3 squared? 9. And now we have a combination. -9 plus 4, -5. So this number here is -5. In the finalizer, they usually give the general format. The general form, right? The first one, this one. So you have to find the vertex using formula, but y-intercept, you don't have to find, it's easy. Any question? No. Okay, the next one is an interesting question. It says the graph of the quadratic function is given below. What is the value of b? So they didn't give us the value for b. They told us we have x squared plus bx plus c. They want us to figure out what is that b? How much is that b? The only information they gave us is this. Our vertex is 3, -5. Any idea? Using the vertex, how can you figure out B? Which function? F of x, you need to know x, but there are three variables for y. Substitute what? -5 equals 3 squared, which is 9, plus 3 times b, which is 3b, plus c. Then you have two variables to work with, b and c. You don't know what is c. Your idea is almost on the right track, almost. Joanne. That's the right approach. Since they give us the vertex, so you choose the vertex formula. We know the vertex has the x value negative b over 2a. Right? Do you know what is our a here? How much is the a? 1. They gave us invisible 1 here. So we know our a is 1. So this a is 1. And they gave us the x value of the vertex. That's 3. So we have both information. We have x equals negative b over 2a. That means 3 equals negative b over 2 times 1. We know x, we know a. The only thing we don't know is b, so you can solve for it. So 3 equals negative b over 2. How are you going to solve for b? Multiply by? You can multiply by 2, but it still has a negative problem. Or you can multiply by -2. If you simply multiply by -2, negative turn into positive, 2 cancel out. So you have your b equals -6. And this is what they are looking for. So it's an interesting one, a tricky one. And guess what? In the final exam, expect to see this type of tricky questions. The next one, we have 5 minutes. Try by yourself. Similar idea, but this time they wanted to solve for C. They gave you the vertex 417. They gave you the equation. And now they want you to solve for C. Try to think about it. How can you solve for C? You can use Dimitri's idea. It's actually a combination of Dimitri's idea and Jolene's idea. That's it. Ready? He knows everything. I mean, he knows the answer. Tell me what is your first step? Good. So how do you solve for B? -8. And then what you are going to do with that -8? The question is in front of you. You have f of x. So f of x, it means you have y. Y equals blah, blah, blah. It is done. Almost. You have 2 minutes, so let's go over this. Which one are going to find? Which one we are going to find first? B. How do you find B? So x is negative b over 2a. Or equals negative b over -2. So multiply by 2, we have b equals 8. Perfect. And now we need to find c. Insert. So how do you find c? So you have y equals negative x squared plus bx plus c. And here we already see that c is alone. You already see c is alone. Well, c. We already see that we can make the c alone by subtracting bx and adding x squared. So this cancel out. I can easily solve for c. C is y minus bx plus x squared. So what is y? I moved everything from the right to the left. You don't have to do that. But I moved it because we can easily solve for c here. So how much is the y? 17. How much is the b? B is negative. Positive 8, right? And how much is the x? 4. And we have 4 squared. So we have 17 minus 32 plus 16. Now this gives us -16. 17 minus 16. So how much is our c? 1, right? Did I make a mistake? No. Okay. That's how we find c. 2 minus 16 is -16. And then 17 minus 16 is that. What you can do is 16 plus 17 and then minus 32. Well, thank you. Take a look at the review sheet. If you don't have any question on Tuesday, then I'm not going to do any review, okay? I'm going to do review only if you have a question to ask me. Otherwise, I'll continue doing 1.5 and your exam will be on Thursday. Okay, guys? Why not? So are you going to buy it?